Today we're going to be making a ragu for tomorrow's moussaka. As my YouTube channel grows, the one thing you'll notice is you'll have to watch an extra video or two on my channel, from stocks to sauces, that will really help produce high quality food that you're after. This is essentially a 24-hour moussaka with a pre-made ragu that will develop more in flavour. It's going to take 3 hours to make this ragu, and we're going to cook it down because a ragu is cooked over a long period of time over a simple bolognese. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to rush your bolognese and boil your meat. You want to take your time, you want to get your pan up to a scorching hot temperature, get some colour on the meat, get some flavour in the meat. You know, that's going to take quite a long time. You want to get out all of the moisture, you want to reduce the fat massively, and then when it gets to the end of your ragu, what you're going to do, put it in the oven for about an hour and a half, and that's really going to help develop extra flavour. Our ragu is going to be pre-made and developed for flavour over time to make a fantastic moussaka. Now, moussaka generally doesn't have celery in it. Moussaka is entirely made up of potato, aubergine, and if you really want, a couple of courgettes. You know, many chefs actually leave the courgette out of moussaka because it's really not needed. So, you know, that's what this lesson is going to be all about today. You know, so we're just going to go in with an onion, and we're going to go in with the shallot as well for a little bit extra flavour, because we're removing an ingredient, so it'd be nice to add in an extra ingredient. But you are going to grate every single vegetable. There's no chopping involved in a ragu, because the smaller you can get that garlic, the smaller you can get that onion. Even your carrots, you're going to grate them, you're going to grate your onion. The smaller you can get all of those things, they're going to develop into essentially nothing. And you're going to get 100% of those vegetables' flavours into that sauce. And that's exactly what you're after. Here you have 3 grated and pulverised garlic cloves, 1 carrot and half an onion. Now, your aim here is extremely simple. You're not trying to burn these vegetables or brown these vegetables. All you're trying to do is remove the liquid. For this dish, your pan is going to be far hotter than you would normally predict. And you want to get this up to the highest possible temperature without damaging your pan. And you want to put your meat straight in. Now, I've got my meat up to room temperature. And the reason I like to get my meat up to room temperature is I don't want to turn that pan cold. So you're in control, most importantly, of exactly how much is going into every single layer of that food. You can control the water content far more when you cook every single one of your items separately. You can control the fat content far easier when you cook these things separately. Now, the one thing you'll notice in my videos, because this one's going to be extremely long, is, you know, I spend quite easily, when I have a day off work, all day in my kitchen, almost 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours in my kitchen. And when you watch my videos and you get into food quite the way that I do, hopefully, if you get into food the way I do, you will never go back to rushing food again. And that is the plan. You don't want to rush food, you know. You know, not every single one of my dishes is going to be expensive. You know, I'm not out to waste your time. I'm not out to bore you. I'm out to change your perception of food completely. You know, you've put money into everything that you've ever purchased for your food. You've put in quite a lot of money. Food is expensive, especially in the UK. So why do you want to waste that food by rushing the process? To be honest, why don't you treat every single meal that you ever eat, besides your breakfast in the morning, your lunch, your dinner, why don't you treat that as a Michelin star meal? If you've got the time, it's not about the money. Why don't you cook that, you know, as professionally as you physically can? Because, you know, you're gaining all that experience in food, and you're going to deliver it into the culinary industry like I do. Now your mince is dry, you want to add in your vegetables. Now if you cook to this quality at home, maybe you're trying to impress your partner. She is going to want to marry you. You can propose to dishes like I create. And, you know, you can bring these dishes into the industry. You can do whatever you want with the food that I cook. And that's the plan. One of the strangest spices, which is entirely traditional with moussaka, is cinnamon. And you want that cinnamon to be relatively noticeable, along with nutmeg. Just a little bit of nutmeg, not too much. They say that humans should not eat anywhere near more than 4 grams of nutmeg. Now that is actually quite a lot of nutmeg. But as you start going up to those levels, you might start having unusual side effects to nutmeg that I can't personally remember, but I did once experience, and I don't plan to experience again. So do take that advice very seriously. You can get nutmeg poisoning. Red wine. Finish the bottle, because in there was about half, just over a quarter of a bottle. You're going to sweat down that red wine and remove the alcohol. And I know I said about making your own passata because it's piss easy, to be honest, but it takes more time. And for this video, educational, I chose a high quality passata from the supermarket. There's no problem with that. Add in, you know, a couple of bay leaves. Add in a bottle of passata, or make your own. You never know one day how much you're going to be charging per head in a restaurant, and it's all built on experience. Only you can work your way up to restaurants in the world that are charging up to £600 a head for food, which is ridiculous. Only you can get yourself into somewhere like the Ritz. Are you going to be the next Heston Blumenthal? Are you going to be the next Gino D'Acampo? Are you going to be the next Gordon Ramsay? Are you going to be the next Marco Pierre White? Who knows? You know, I've got no idea who's watching my channel right now, but I've got the same passion and commitment. Cloves are very strong. I've pulverised some cloves with the end of a rolling pin, which is a very cheap alternative to having a mortar and pestle. And we're going to put those into this dish as well, along with our bechamel. But do not do too many, maybe 5 cloves at most. You don't want to overpower this dish. Absolutely no grease in there, just flavour. Into the oven it goes. 1 hour, 30 minutes. Out of the oven. I have just made the most addictive bolognese ragu physically possible, that even I'm not sure if this will even make it to a moussaka. It's absolutely powerful, packed full of flavour, and you need to try it. You need to stick it in the oven for that extra hour and a half. Believe me, that flavour has times itself by 5. Feel free to subscribe.